Welcome to Computer Lab Space. In this series, I will take you all through the journey of PhD. Today, we will learn how to prepare PPT for first DC meeting, that is your first doctoral committee meeting, and what all the content we need to put in PPT. Okay, let me open a template PPT which I have prepared. I'll show you. Yes. So this is what the template where I prefer to have a white background. Uh, the text should be in a dark color. So that is what most of the research supervisors prefer because on the screen it looks good. On the white background, the dark color text will look elegant or will look neatly and it is visible to all the audience who are sitting over there. For example, if you make use of yellow or some other colors, it won't look good or it might not be visible for everyone when they are looking at the back side. So that is the reason, the one thing, it is preferred to have a white background, then the text should be in a dark color. Okay. Then one more thing is the font size should not be a lesser one. It should be visible for all. That needs to be our main agenda, right? For while preparing a PPT. So that is the reason need to have a PPT. At least it should be visible for everyone. The font size should be a little bit bigger one. Okay, make it don't make to fill more data or more content in a single slide with the less font size. Is it clear? And don't make use of the font style like so many designs you have in a Microsoft PowerPoint, right? So where it should be, it is a italic one. It is not necessary. The thing is, each and every word, each and every letter should neatly visible for all. So that is our main agenda here. So that is the reason I prefer to have Times New Roman because in most of the cases, in most of the documents, whatever we prepare, or most of the reports what we prepare, every document or everything we are going to prefer to have a Times New Roman as a standard one. So that is the reason in my PPT also I have make use of the PowerPoint presentation in that Times New Roman only I have used, and a little bit a bigger font size I have used. So what should be there in the first slide of your first doctoral committee meeting? So let's go through that. Here I have put two VTU logos only. Don't confuse. I will explain you why I have put that. As of now, I will just delete it. Okay, in the first slide of your PPT, you need to have your research university, whether if you are pursuing PhD under VTU university or whether it is a private university, whatever it is. If you put the logo of the university, it will be better. Either it can be in the topmost left side or right side, it doesn't matter, but you need to put your university's logo, and on the another corner you can put your research center. For example, if you are doing your PhD in so and so college, so that logo, that college logo is there, no? So that you can put on the other side. So since I'm not going to mention which college, or I'm not going to take any college logo here, so that is the reason I have copied both the sides, the way to university logo. Then the department. The department is, for example, if you are belonging, if you are doing PhD in mechanical engineering, so you can put it as a Department of Mechanical Engineering, and other or in which research center, your college name you can put here. So and so Institute of Technology or College of Engineering, and the place of that college. Then first doctoral committee meeting, as I mentioned, I'm going to do, I'm just doing PowerPoint presentation for the first doctoral committee meeting. Then title should be your research topic. Okay, whatever you have framed under the guidance of your guide, so you can put it your title. Then research scholar details and research supervisor details. Okay, so on the left side I have mentioned research scholar details like your name, designation, whether you are professor, assistant professor, or if you are working as a software engineer in the IT company, you can mention your name, designation. Then department here, if you are belongs to a or if you are working as a professor, you can mention your department, or if it is your research department, okay, you can mention here. R&D, obviously, if you are pursuing PhD, R&D department of that particular college will be there. So R&D I have mentioned, your college name and college place. Then under the guidance of whom, obviously they will be having a doctorate, so doctor, so and so name. What's their designation, whether they are professor or department of any HOD of any department, which department, then college, then place. So these things should be there as a first slide in your PowerPoint presentation, and the slide number should not be there in your first slide. Okay, I hope it is clear. We'll go for the next one. The next slide. The next slide, it is your details of PhD. Since it is your first doctoral committee meeting, you need to mention the details of PhD because your RAC members needs to know that, right? So that is the reason. Here, I have mentioned here it as welcome to computer lab space. Just as an example, I have mentioned here you can put your research topic title, okay, and that should be like a lesser font size where it should not be highlighted rather than the content of the PPT, okay. So that's why I have put it in a lower font size compared to the content of this particular slide. Then details of PhD, as I mentioned, the second slide should be the details of PhD year, and I have just make it as a table one. Why? Because I need to mention date of registration and USN. So your date of registration means it is not your the day you have written your entrance exam, or the day you have faced your interview. No, it is where you got confirmation from the university that this is your date of registration. You are going to get the provisional approval letter from the university, so that you can mention in the date of registration. And USN, your USN you need to mention here. By the time of first doctoral committee meeting, obviously you will be having your USN, right? So that you can mention here. Then coursework subjects. What are the coursework subjects you have taken under the guidance of your guide, or however it is. So those coursework subjects along with the subject code you need to mention in this. Then if you have, by this first doctoral committee meeting time, if you have cleared any subjects, you need to mention here it as cleared or passed. Then if one or two subjects are pending, you need to mention here it as taken for the next exam, or taken. It is okay if you mention like this much in your second slide. Hope it is clear. If you have any doubts, you can put me a message, or you can mail me for the computerlabspace@gmail.com. that is available in the description of this video only, okay. Then the third slide, it is agenda. Even in agenda, the topmost in the middle, you can mention your research topic. But whatever you are going to do, you maintain a same font size or font style, or I can say the same format you need to mention throughout your PhD, okay. Sorry, throughout your PowerPoint presentation. So here I have mentioned it as agenda. So agenda of today's session, or agenda of that particular DC meeting session, what are the things you are going to explain her. So that is what you need to mention in the third slide. And your introduction, literature survey, objectives, data set, proposed model, planned activities, references I have mentioned, and I will take you through the individual one in the next upcoming slides, okay. Then the fourth slide, introduction. Randomly I have put some data here or content here, just to show how it should do, how it should be visible, or how neatly it should be visible for the audience, okay. So see here in the introduction sentence, this slide should not be over content, okay. Just 2 to 3 points, it is enough. It is not like you need to put a paragraph in this introduction. No, it is not like that. Introduction of your research topic. For example, if your research topic is on image processing, complete research topic. For example, if you are having a research topic to find the fake news in the social media, So what is that? Finding a fake news in the social media means what? So that can be the first point in your slide. Okay, in the introduction slide. Just 2 to 3 lines of explanation needs to be there as one point. Then you need to give a proper space. Proper space needs to be there between a different point. Okay. So the second point can be look like this, and the third point also. So your leave space, so type so and so, but the same font size you need to be maintained. So just to copy this and format painter, click on the format painter here and give like this, so it will be get aligned automatically. It will just give the same font size, font style to your next point also. And if you want to increase the size of the space between these two lines, you can go here in the paragraph, we have line spacing, and you can select 1.5. However, how it is necessary for you, what is your thought or how your PPT needs to look like. So based on that you can design here, but it should not be overloaded with the content as well as the content whatever you have given here. No, that should be aligned properly, that should be justified. So you have 4 options here. Either it can be left align, you can be middle align, and it can be right align, as well as it can be justified also. So we prefer to have a justified one. Okay, so that looks neat, the PPT looks neat. So this is what the introduction, it is not limited to only one slide. For example, if your research area is having making use of artificial intelligence, making use of machine learning or deep learning, or if it is in the middle, meanwhile in the middle if it is making use of a big data, or if it is coming to a IoT. So if it is a combination of a different for example AI, then machine learning techniques you are going to use, or NLP you are going to use, you need to say few sentences regarding that in the introduction part, right? So for that you need to put in a few sentences. That means like whatever the things you are going to explain, all or everything needs to be in an introduction part. No, definitely not. By looking at the PPT, you need to explain more. Okay, based on that particular first point, you need to explain more. Don't put everything whatever you are going to explain in a slide. That is not a good idea. Okay, but you can have 2 slides of the introduction. Okay, then come to the literature survey. Many of them will be having doubt of what needs to put in the literature survey. So literature survey, the recent reference papers you need to put. That means if you refer for the journals, for example 23, we are in the 23, you need to study or refer the paper of 22, 21, 19, 18, maximum 17, not below that. Okay, the recent 5 years or 6 years of papers you need to refer, and you need to put in the literature survey. The first thing is serial number. You need to prepare a table format. I prefer to have the table format. You can also put in a description way also, but I feel that it is not a good idea. So I prefer to have in a table format: serial number, paper title, the research topic of that paper, the title of that paper you need to put. Then methodology you don't put in a sentence format. Okay, you need to put that in a what is that, point wise. Okay, for example, if this methodology is making use of any particular algorithms, for example if it is making use of DB scan algorithms, you can mention here. So what are the algorithms, or what is the method they have mentioned here, so that you can put it in a methodology. If you study a reference paper, you will get to know what are the different or how they have they might be combined 2 different algorithms or 2 different methods to get the result. So that is what the methodology means. You can mention here in this um, whether they have used this algorithms or that algorithm or that method, this method. So these things you can mention in a point wise. Okay, for example, if they are using, as I explained, if they are using the DB scan algorithm, or I'm just going to mention, then if they have applied any find this algorithm, just I'm going to mention here, or the methodology for that. For example, if they have mentioned the back propagation, then mentioned here back propagation algorithm they have used, like that you can mention, but that preferably it should be in a point wise, so I'm taking this. You can also increase the size of this to look in a better way. Okay, so this literature survey can be in a lesser format, can be in a lesser font style, or sorry, font size, because at least two to three papers or 3 to 4 papers you need to mention in a single slide. And obviously you are going to explain each and every paper in detail, right? So that is what, for example, at least not in detail means at least you should tell the paper title and what are the algorithms, or what are the techniques they have applied in their research paper, and what are the parameters they have considered. But as some of the research supervisors will always suggest, instead of parameters you can also go for the data set, because in this paper they have used this data set, so that can also be possible. Instead of parameters you can mention data set also here, so let me better put it as data set. Okay, parameters in this sense, how many parameters they have taken for the research work. Okay, that is what the parameters, or if they have considered the shape or size or pixel data, how many pixels of data they have considered. So all these things are the parameters. You can go through that, you can go through, or you can select from the paper whatever you have studied. Then future enhancements. Here, the conclusion will not give us much detail, and that is where I selected to put the future enhancement, or you can consider the limitations of that paper. Okay, so based on the limitations also you will get idea for your research work what may be your objectives or the future enhancements. Both can be possible, both can be taken here. Okay, so like this, not only 4 papers you need to refer for the first doctoral committee, minimum of 15 papers you need to refer. The recent years, that is 5 years research papers, you need to consider at least 15 reference paper needs to be put here. Okay, and one more thing, keep in mind, if you are going to refer one paper here, that same paper reference you need to put in the references here. The first paper should be the paper you have put in the literature survey as the first one. So this is what the research supervisors or the RAC members will be expecting this one. Okay, similar way you can put this slide for how many require. For example, 15 means 4 in each slide you can mention. Okay, we'll go for the next. Objectives. So by the study of these papers, research papers, you will get some idea based on the future enhancement, based on the limitations of that paper. You will get some idea, or along with the discussion with your guide, you will get some idea, or you have decided what are the objectives. At least minimum of 4 objectives or 5 objectives you need to prepare, you need to put in the objectives of the proposed work. Anyway, again, that should be neatly, it should be there, and that also in a point wise. So for example, your first, I prefer to have this only. For example, the first one is fake news. For example, fake news identification. In that, what is yours? How we are going to do that? So just I'm going to make use of the same font size. You can click on the font format painter, and you can also, sorry, give like this. Wait, like this you can give. Okay, understood. For the fake news identification, uh, whatever you have understood by the reference paper, and what are the 4 objectives. don't make it a sentence wise like the 5 or 6 lines for each point. Don't make like that. Just 1 or 2 line of your objective description needs to be given here. What is that objective? That needs to be mentioned here. So first objective, second objective, then third objective, fourth objective needs to be given, and between these you need to have a line space, right? So this is what. We'll go for the next slide. Hope it is clear. Objectives needs to be put here. Then data set. By this time, you need to know from where you are going to take the data set, because for the research, the data set is very important. Without the data set, we cannot do any work. We cannot continue the work. So first you need to have the data set, from which site you are going to take the data set. Those things needs to be mentioned. That site name, so and so you are going to take the data set. Yes, that site address you are going to put it in the data set slide. Okay, and if you want, I will just prepare one more presentation on this, from which all the sites, if you tell area, in which sites the data set is available, I will try to make a video on this. So data set is clear now. And proposed model. Proposed model is not like the complete one. No. Research work keeps on changing as and when the progress goes on, right? So that is the reason the proposed model is just here based on the objectives or based on the research topic or research area. You will be have something in your mind, no? This, for example, if yours is artificial intelligence is a area, or image processing is your area, what is the first thing you are going to have? So those one, for example, if your research work is based on IoT, you will be having certain sensors to be there, where in which place the sensors will come. You'll be having certain idea regarding that, right? For example, if your research work is having database to store some text or to store something, you need to have a big data in the middle. Research, it is a combination of a different fields. For example, I cannot be limit myself for the processing, image processing, or I cannot limit myself for the um, artificial intelligence. Somewhere in my research work I may need database to store certain things or to store the data. So that is where, or else I am going to applying some machine learning techniques. So in which part you are going to mention that? So that needs to be there in the proposed model, and it is a rough, totally a rough sketch of your proposed model you need to have. For the proposed model, or to draw any flowchart and all, you can make use of whiteboard, which is available freely online. And online Microsoft whiteboard is available. You can go through many online whiteboards are available. By making use of that, you can prepare your own proposed model. So that needs to be there after the data set. And planned activities. Planned activities, it is for the next 6 months after your first doctoral committee meeting. How we are going to plan for the second doctoral committee meeting. So that is what the 6 months gap between the first and the second doctoral committee meeting, that needs to be put it here in the planned activities. For example, if your research topic is broad, you are going to narrow down that, or you are going to publish a paper, survey paper, or generally a survey paper within 6 months. So that is going to be mentioned as one of the planned activity, or you're going to collect the data set. So these things, you're going to learn some tool which is necessary for your research work to continue with the implementation, some programming language or some tool if your research work is related to networking. So these things, importantly, these things needs to be mentioned as planned activities for the next 6 months. Okay, as a point wise you mention, don't give it as a description. For example, I am going to do a survey paper on this topic in so and so journal. No, it is not required. Just to mention, narrowing of a research topic, collection of data set, then planning, don't put a planning also, learning to, sorry, will learn so and so tool, or will learn so and so programming language which is necessary for, you explain that, but you put in a PPT a single word, will learn so and so tool. While explaining, you explain this is necessary, or this is a requirement to complete to continue the implementation of my research work. That's why I'm going to learn this tool, or I'm going to learn this programming language. You mentioned that. Okay. I hope it is clear now. So like this, you need to prepare a PPT. So for the planned activities, as I told, just example, narrow research, okay, like this. Second one, learning Python programming language. Maintain the same font, style, everything, okay. And obviously this should not be the bold, and it should be better left aligned. And you can also decrease the font size, and you can also do like this. Okay, you can however you want, just neatly it should be visible for the audience. Okay, Times New Roman, everything. Okay, so this is how it needs to be for the planned activities. Then it is a references. Already I told how you are going to put the references. References always you should put in a format of like this. Okay, don't make it bold. Just I'm showing you one. Then your referred paper title, author first, then title. Like that, you need to put in which journal you have got this, or in which year the paper published. So those things you need to put. And between a first and the second paper, put the reference, give some space. Give some space. Okay. So like that you need to prepare the references. And if you put one paper, for example, review, don't put a review paper in this. Some implementation paper only which you have referred. For example, I am just taking, for example, if the title of this paper is image processing techniques, for example, I am showing. So the same paper, whatever you have put in the references, same paper should also be there in the literature survey second paper only. Okay, this thing you need to have in mind. Okay, this thing you need to have in mind while referring. So the same paper, if they just ask the second paper, means the same reference needs to be there in the references as a second one only. So meanwhile between this gap, give the gap, so that it is clearly visible to the audience, as well as the differentiation between the first paper reference and the second paper should be clearly visible. So that is what you need to put in the references. Then the last slide, thank you. If you are having any questions, you can also put it as any queries like this. So just I will go through, I will just give the slideshow. See, make sure that the complete content, whatever you put in a slide, that should be visible in the screen. Okay, it should not be out of the screen. Okay. Okay, see, look at here. When it is projected also, by projector it is clearly visible. I randomly have this color, you can change. I hope you got some idea how to prepare, or what are the contents needs to be there at the first doctoral committee meeting. I hope it is helpful. Please subscribe to Computer Lab Space channel for more updates. Like, share and subscribe. Please support us. Thank you.